afternoon, guys.
Hey.
Good to see you again. It's a good thing when I'm seeing you.
All right, we can start with Dave Roberts. We have Mike's on both sides. We can start with Jim on the right.
Skip, how are you today? All set, ready to go?
Ready to go, Jim.
What is your level of anxiousness going into this series?
Actually, you know, it's sort of upon us now. You know, we had some meetings today with the staff, organizational stuff. I think our players have done a great job managing the their anxiousness to play a playoff game. The work's been great. I think the butterflies start kind of looming now, which is a good thing. Yeah, we're ready to go.
One on the right.
Hey, Dave, yesterday you kind of mentioned Kelly and Gadden are neutral guys. You've obviously been playing matchup with your lineup all season long. How might that affect with some of your lineup decisions?
I don't think it'll change. I think that we've been pretty consistent as far as verse right, verse left, namely verse right, and I think that that's kind of what you'll see. You know, how I decided to put 6, 7, 8, still kind of thinking through it. But I think you'll see the same cast of characters.
Dave, is there anything that you see right now that lets you know that your guys are ready? And last year, obviously you won the first game, but was there anything that you thought you didn't see in that series against the Padres?
You know, it's a different team. I think that it's, you know, not to take anything away from a team that won, I don't know what it was, 111 games. Obviously very talented and successful team. This is a closer team. I think that, you know, with what happened last year and how quick the exit was, I still think that looms with a lot of guys. You know, as far as preparation, we tried to ramp it up a little bit more as far as intensity, situational stuff. So I felt we were ready last year, and we won game 1 and just ended up not winning another game after that. But you know, I feel good. So baseball, it's so unpredictable, and that's why, you know, we can all have thoughts about this series, and no one knows until we play the game. So I feel good where we're at.
Standing up at the back here with Dave and Bob.
Dave, throughout the entire season and just now, you've had to answer questions regarding last year's NLDS. Do you feel like you guys have to win this one to stop those questions?
Yes. I do. I think it's one of those, what have you done for me lately? And I understand that. I respect that. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a job to do, and we've got to get through this first round and get to the next one. But I do think that would certainly help the last year questions, yeah.
Hey, Dave, with all your injuries, particularly the pitching staff, what has Clayton meant to your team just inside that clubhouse with the young guys?
He's been a, gosh, what has he meant? I don't think I can do it justice. Bob, he is just the pillar of consistency, of compete, of you know, success and professionalism. So he just, everything that you expect or want out of a superstar player, he checks all those boxes. You know, the last 5, 6 years, there's always been some injuries that he's had to deal with, but never took away from his desire to get back and help us, which he's done. And I just marvel at sometimes with what he has to work with and the success that he still continues to have. This is right now is as good as he's been for the last couple months, so I'm excited for him. But, you know, when you look at Emmett Sheehan, Bobby Miller, Michael Grove, Ryan Pepiot, and they watch Clayton watch baseball in between innings and his work and catch play, you know, these are things that are going to, you know, carry on for years. And, you know, those are, when you're talking legacy, and I'm very grateful for that.
Jack.
Dave, after the last game on Sunday, you and a few of the players talked about trying to block out some of the external stuff this year, the prognostications. Like, did you guys feel like a doubted team at all? Did that lead to some of the bond, cohesion, you know, the things that have developed in the room this year?
Maybe. I think that's just not as, sustainable or organic. I don't necessarily, it's like the us against them kind of thing. I think that these guys generally like each other and care for each other. I think that it is different in the sense that, you didn't hear the World Series or bust from the outside as much, if at all. But I still believe that internally we felt that that's still our goal, and that didn't change. I don't know if it had any kind of bearing on getting our guys closer. I just think that for me, it's the distractions that happen in every postseason with travel, with tickets, with media, in-game stuff, with emotions and things that happen. It's trite, but controlling what you can control and manage your emotions, and that's and eliminate those distractions.
Dave, just given the familiarity between these two teams, and obviously it's not your first time facing a division rival in the DS, but how do you use that, whether to your advantage or given that it is the postseason, is it such a different dynamic situation amongst the two teams?
I think it's just less surprises. I think that we know each other so well. I think Tori knows a lot of my tendencies and who I trust, and I think I feel the same about him. But there's some new arms in the pen that I don't know a whole lot about. When you play somebody a lot, it sort of just boils down to who plays the best baseball. Whereas if you play teams that you don't know, there could be things that you might get caught off guard with, a little bit more unfamiliarity. But in this instance, travel's going to be fine. The opponent we know pretty well, so then it's just you throw the balls out there and see what team plays the best in a 5-game series.
I know that the postseason brings a different level of excitement and energy, but with the rookies that you do have that will be on the roster, does playing a division rival in the DS create somewhat of a smoother transition, I guess, for some of them now in their first postseason experience?
I think so. I think that the familiarity of playing that team over there, playing at home, I think is something that calms some nerves. But again, like I opened with, it's like I have butterflies, and I'm going to have them tomorrow, and I'm sure Clayton's going to have them, and that's, for me, impressing upon our young guys that's a natural emotion, and how we channel that is the separator. But I do think that maybe, playing the Diamondbacks, playing at home is a benefit.
Bit overall right here.
In the words of Kobe, the job's not finished yet, but considering the off-season and all the changes to the rotation this year, you guys won 100 games. How proud of yourself are you with getting the team to this point and the 100 games this season?
The job is definitely not done. I'm very proud of the organization with what we dealt with, a lot of things that were unforeseen, and how we've come out of it, how we've grown a lot of young players at this level and got them to play to a championship caliber level of baseball. That's been fun, as a coach. It's just a collective effort, and I'm very grateful. But yeah, to separate, to still acknowledge what we did in the regular season, I think that's important. To not acknowledge that, I just don't think it's one of those, then what are we doing this for? So it's a big chunk of time, and we performed well. Now we've got to turn ourselves, to the postseason.
And do you feel like this may have been one of your best material years?
It's certainly been my most joyful, watching these guys come together, and I feel like I got a chance to impact a lot of people, so that's been fun. I think the coaches did a fantastic job on the hitting side, on the pitching side with the young arms. Clayton did a great job with James in the outfield, and so just organizationally, it's been a huge win.
Alden, back left.
Hey Dave, you have a lot of experience just sort of kind of managing the lull before the start of the playoffs, whether it's days off or maybe the end of the regular season when the games don't mean much in the standings. How difficult has that proven to be for you in terms of getting players on point against a team that's just coming off playing real meaningful games? And do you feel like you've figured it out in any way?
I'll tell you if I figured it out after this series. But I think what it boils down to is you got to appreciate the individuality of the players. Some guys need to, keep hitting and take as many at-bats as you'll give them. And some guys I just need to feel it a little bit. Some guys need to get away from the ballpark. And so to have every off day, having them here, I don't believe in making these guys, after a long season, so trying to thread the needle, a lot of conversations to kind of get them in the right mind headspace. But I think that I really believe that we're in a good spot. There's an edginess, there's still a joy with our guys, but there's a focus too. So it's a great combo.
Baby.
Yeah, Dave, on the outside, obviously, a lot of questions about how last year ended. Do you feel like internally for some guys it took a while to sort of move past how last year ended, and is that something that you guys kind of had to combat early in the season just to sort of get focused and get going?
I don't think that I hope it took guys a long time to get over it, because it took me a long time. But I don't think that the slow, as I've used many times over, the middling baseball for 45 games was because of last year's post. I really don't. It was a completely different ball club. There were some things, we just weren't playing good baseball. But we sort of held serve. But I don't think that was a carryover. But yeah, when you lose in a postseason, it should hurt. And hopefully it's something you can pull from, when you have another opportunity like we do this year.
With Clayton having all the changes to his routine in the later part of the season, what has this past week looked for him in terms of his prep and whatnot?
A lot of his family's coming in tomorrow, which I know he's excited about. He's a very routine-driven guy. He's watching a lot of video. Like we've talked earlier, there's a lot of familiarity with those guys over there. So he's done his side work, his stuff in the weight room. So I think he's probably more than anyone he's chomping at the bit, ready to go. With him, I don't really pay too much attention because I don't really need to, because he's pretty much turnkey. But spent a little time with him yesterday, which was great, and then saw him today. But he's doing what he does to get ready for game one.
Bill, back right.
Yeah, following up on that a little bit, Kershaw used the phrase adapt or die after a couple of starts ago.
Good to hear.
How have you seen him adapt to where he is, what he has now the last month or so?
Largely, a big adaptation has happened, which is great to see. I don't know what it's like to be a superstar Hall of Famer, so I was much easier to convince me to adapt to survive. So it's one of those things where you've done something for so long, and the fear of why would I deviate for a potential failure. But I think that the game, the hitters have shown him that to change, adapt, in his words, is not a bad thing, it's a necessity. And the great thing is that he's seen good results. So, in his mind, his process is always dialed, but results matter to Clayton. And so to get those results and with the adaptation of, routine with, how he goes about attacking hitters, all that stuff, has played into, I think, making him, really a complete player and pitcher.
Dave, yesterday you mentioned Lance Lynn being in play for Game 3. Where does that leave Ryan Pepiot, and what has he meant, or how has he looked to you the last month or so?
Ryan's looked great. He's going to throw a little bit here today, and so right versus left. The head, the throw, all that stuff, he's really checked a lot of boxes and really grown. And so for me, I think Game 3 is in play. To what end, to what capacity, I just don't know that answer right now.
Take two last ones, second row in the middle.
Dave, last year the bottom third of the lineup, they struggled, hit under 200, 2 extra base hits. Would you say this year the bottom third is a little more balanced and deeper than last year's lineup heading to the NLDS?
I do. I do. Starting from the bottom, working our way up, I think that Miguel Rojas, the last 2 months, has swung the bat really well. And something that we counted on was his bat to ball. And we're starting to see that the last couple months. And then I think James has been fantastic. And so to be able to manage an at bat, take a walk when he needs to, turn the lineup over, hit a homer if we need to, has been huge. And then you're sort of looking at the Peralta J-Hay, where, David's been scuffling a little bit of late. J-Hay's turned it up. But I think that, the sum of those 3-4 guys has added a lot of length. And I just think in the postseason, it's just too hard to count on, 1 or 2 guys. And so we're going to need those guys to, get on base, drive runs in, and manufacture and do some things to turn the lineup over. So I feel good. At your question, I do think that it's, we're not even close to as top heavy as we were last year. Yeah.
We'll do one more, second row on the left.
Dave, obviously, there's 8 other quality guys in that Arizona lineup, but can you just talk about the pressure that Courtney Carroll puts on a defense and pitching staff?
Speed, as they say, doesn't slump, and he can run, so he can get that infield knock. He can homer, which he's done in that last wild card series. Man, he's an exciting player. Really good defender, hangs in there versus left, hits right, and so what does it do? It just creates some tension if he gets on base. And also with a guy that can slug you too, you still got to make good pitches. I enjoy watching him more from my living room than the other dugout. But they sort of go with him. When he's on base, potentially to steal a base, it just creates more tension. So to keep him off the base is probably one of our top priorities.
All right, thanks, Doug.